Alright, so this is going to be our first basic training into a bit of N8N and how to create your first AI agent, which is really what N8N is so well known for. And then we're just going to do a bit of vibe coding and try connect it to a website, which is one of the multiple functions that we can use AI agents for. Either that or lots of other functions of editing and so forth and so on. But let's go in for it. We'll go really slowly and I'll try explain as best as we can, and we'll go try hook it up into a website that we're gonna randomly create. So you'll learn a bit of N8N basics, especially in regards to web agents or AI agents, and you'll learn a little bit of vibe coding too, which will be quite cool. Now, I do suggest you go watch the other videos, and there's a bit more clearer explanation on what webhooks are and what API requests are, because we are going to use a bit of that as well. So, N8N, right? So, we want to know N8N. A couple of things we need to understand is that if you're going to use N8N from the website, there is a bit of pricing to pay. Now, the pricing is $20 a month, or £20, which comes to $26 a month. However, you need to understand, if you're gonna run a business in the business licensing, you're gonna have to start paying for a lot of it too. Especially, you might have to come look at the enterprise side of things. So you can't just really have one N8N account. You can't just really have one N8N account for multiple clients. It's not going to work. You're going to run out of things, and you can see it's all hosted by N8N. So you limited above the products and the consecutive workflows in here. So each one of your clients is going to have their own account, but you can see you only have 5 workflows in here. You can have 20 ones at the same time. So depending on what, you need to work that in if you're going to host it with them. Otherwise, if you're going to do a self-hosting N8N service, you do also need to pay their licensing fee. So if you're going to run multiple people from that N8N server, right? So if you're going to have yours, if I'm going to have Altus's N8N server and I'm going to connect all my clients to that N8N server, even though it's self-hosted, I'm going to have to pay a business license to them. So you're going to pay for that as well. However, if the way around it is to look at it that we're going to talk about self-hosting and how much is cheaper, but if my client, business A, have their own N8N server that they do their own stuff in, then that's going to be okay. So they don't have to buy a sellable license from N8N. Just remember that it's open source, but you still need to pay the licensing fees if you're going to run multiple businesses from there. And it's not really in with this one. It is just something you need to consider. So therefore, self-hosting your N8N works a lot better for yourself, for your business needs, but likewise if you're going to have a self-hosted server for your client. So it's very important. Now at the moment, Hostinger, it just asked me for the discount code, but they got a discount. On top of a discount is Black Friday sales, which means you get 80% off. But this means you can have a self-hosted N8N server on the internet for yourself. And if you're going to do this for every business, that's what you need to work in for the business price as well, because you're going to have to set up their own server for themselves. Now it sounds very complicated, but Hostinger has made it easy. It's just in here, you select the plan and it does everything for you, and at the end of the day you get a N8N interface just like you would normally. But this is the own virtual computer for you or your business that sits out there on the internet. Is very specific to them. So if anything goes wrong, only that one client is affected. And stuff do go wrong. Don't think it doesn't. It's only little sometimes. Most of the time, it's only little things, but it's only one person affected at a time. Plus, you work with the whole licensing fees where every person gets a server to use within their business. Therefore, they're not making a profit from N8N, so therefore that works really well. So the cheapest one in here, and again I'll give you a discount code in here, $7 a month. So $7 versus 26 a month for unlimited N8N use. That's where it makes all the difference. So make sure you use the code down the bottom. The code will save you an extra $200. Yeah, and like I said, the fact that you get your own machine within the internet, you get the AI module, it is super cheap. So that's how to get N8N. Once you have N8N, you'll get a URL and it will look something like this. Now, the reason you can't host it on your own computer is also because we're going to do web traffic in and web traffic out of it. And it needs external internet access. So therefore, when we create a virtual machine on the internet, you get your own IP address, you get your own domain to connect to, so you can send data forward and back into your N8N to edit it as such. So just the basics of N8N, you will have this like this, and you'll have something really blank in here, but these are pretty much your workflows. You can add them into folders if you want to, so you can personally create folders. You can put them into folders. If you have more than one person working on it, you can add more than one person within it. These will show when they're active and they're not active, but ultimately you're going to have all these personal workflows for a client. And again, it's just kind of a way to get around the licensing fees. So, look that up. Let me quickly go look that up. So all I did was come to settings, and you can see you're on the community edition. And because you're on there, you get I've got 3 active workflows. It's unlimited. So it means I don't have to worry about anything because I'm kind of just using it for myself. But in the self-hosted plans, you can see the monthly and annually in here. But if you're going to have a starter plan with different employees looking into it, you can see it can get really super expensive in that month. So a lot of things to consider when you do all this, but most of the time N8N is going to work you out really cost effective, which makes it so cool. So basics of N8N, this is what it looks like. You'll have a blank set in here, and we are going to create a new workflow in here. Now this is your blank canvas. Now, if you wanted a dark mode or not, it's in settings as well. So we're going to come down the bottom, we're going to go to settings, and I think it's under personal, dark theme or a light theme. I like the dark theme. Okay, so just FYI, you might have a white interface. I like it a bit darker, it's easier on my eyes. Now, the workflow is kind of left to right when we have something. So we're going to have some sort of trigger as such to start our workflow, and we're going to have the middle bit to edit it, and the end part is going to be our output. And likewise, it's going to be the same for every kind of module as well. Now this is, and again, I talked about it in the webhook building function about it, and about how to do webhooks so we understand how web calling works. But in this, we're going to just use the chat function, which is a really good function within N8N to test your data evaluation. So there's a couple of things that makes N8N and the N8N setup and troubleshooting so good, and this one is the chat function, for example. So and it's a way of creating a chatbot in here, and then also we can connect that chatbot up to other things. I'll show you exactly how to do that. So we're going to hit the plus model in here. So let's move my head, I think, out the way, put it a little bit down here. So this is where we add our nodes, look for nodes, sticky nodes, and the focus panel on the side. So don't need that right now. If you are on the paid plan, then that means you also get to have the AI function in here. But anyway, we're going to start a trigger. Our trigger is going to be on our chat. So trigger manually on a tool, on a call, online, but we're going to go on a chat message. And that just allows us to open the chat panel, and pops up down the bottom here. That's what the chat panel looks like. Now, we want data to come in. Now we want to start editing data, and this is where we use the AI function in here, and it's called the AI agent. Now, again, very specific to N8N. If you look in the background of editing and programming AI tools, this is where it comes from, where you have your you have an AI function. Within the AI function, you connect things like memory to it, so it remembers when we talk to it again and again. You add what large language module you're going to use, and you add what tools and functions you're going to have, and then you need an output. Okay, so we're going to come through, add your AI agent, and this is what it looks like in short. Right, so lovely little AI agent in here, and we'll quickly go through it really slow so you can understand. But first things first is you're going to add a large language module to it. So you're going to hit the plus button, and up here on the side in here, and I'll probably just put my face down here. Let's make it a bit smaller. Have it in the top over there. Now, move down there. These are all your basic AI modules. Now, large language modules. Now, all of them will have an API key. An API key means once you go onto it, it's a specific key that allows you authority to connect to it. And most of those API keys you pay per usage. So there will be, for example, if you want to use the DeepSeek models, you go to DeepSeek's website, you register with them, you get an API key, and you get charged per usage, and you get charged per token for it. And each large language module again has a different pricing module for the tokens. Now, obviously DeepSeek, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, they're all in here. You can go to their websites, you get the API keys, and we're just going to go, and I'm going to show you here for a second OpenRouter. So OpenRouter is like I think someone described it like Uber Eats. So let's say you want to go out and you feel like eating some OpenAI. So OpenAI, ChatGPT. If you want to go eat out there, you got to go to ChatGPT's restaurant. You got to put some money on their account, and then you got to order something backwards and forwards from them, and you're only talking to the restaurant and you're eating at said restaurant. Likewise, if you want to go eat out at DeepSeek or Anthropics with Claude, likewise, we got to go there. You got to go put your card on, get the API key, and all these large language modules has got different strengths and weaknesses. So at the end of the day, you're just going to have a bunch of stuff registered everywhere else. Now, OpenRouter is kind of like the Uber Eat of things, if you want to think about it like that. And what it allows you to do is have one place where you give and you put your card details on, and you get one API key from there, and from that one API key, you get access to all the large language modules there are, okay? Which is in most cases more than what you have on the side here. And I'll show you what I mean. If you come to their website, you're going to put some money on their website, pay as you go. Once the money is on there, you're going to get your API key from them, and you'll be able to have all these large language models on there. And there is currently over here, I thought there was another way of finding it, but I thought there was about 400 models last time I checked. 565 different AI models to choose from, and very good like this was showing you the analytics of your large language modules, and it's really something you're going to need to figure out and know. For example, the top ones at the moment is obviously GPT-5, Gemini from Google, and Claude. And in here it will show you how fast they are, what the growth are, and what the token usage size are. So token usage is basically converts to bits and bytes of a sentence. So You can't say that one word is one token. It's about 4 letters equals one token. Because it depends. Go read up on what tokens are. It's just a usage fee. So if you send a large amount of data to your large language module, it's going to require a lot of tokens to be used. Therefore, you're going to be charged a lot more. And there are limits to it. So Gemini's got 190 billion token limits per conversation. And yeah, so a very cool place to go look at OpenRouter. If you're really serious about all of these, make sure you go check them out. We can do a whole comparison on it. You can see the latency, you can see the backwards and forwards maximum total contents. Really good. And you can see, yeah, lots of information here. Really good to use. But anyway, you're going to grab an OpenAI key. You're going to get an OpenRouter key. If anything else, if you're starting out, go to ChatGPT. Not register for a plan, but get yourself an API key. And I'll quickly come in here. It's going to be our most favorite one to use, and it's a matter of clicking down in here, and within here you're going to hit your OpenAI key in here, and when it turns green it's connected, and you'll be able to drop down, and this will be all your ChatGPT models to use. Now, most likely everything you're going to do is still going to be good enough for GPT 4.1, and does this show the pricing? So input price and output price. So $1.20 in here for GPT-5. You can go look up the pricing. GPT 4.1 mini. Let's look in here, 4.1 mini in here. You'll see that it is going to be a lot faster. And we can do this GPT-5 in here. So obviously your context is a lot bigger. You can see that you're paying 40 cents for your million tokens in conversation, where this is 3 times as expensive. Output is even worse. All right, so I know million tokens is a lot. It's a lot, million tokens. So it goes pretty fast if you're doing a lot of things, but you can see 10. So input is what you give it, output is what it sends back, and that is massive. Okay, this is really, really big. So just something to consider. Most of the things we're going to do, 4.1 is really good. If it's going to get a little bit more, you want to go with 4.1 straight, which is still cheaper. All right, so interesting part in there for you to consider. Lots of things to think about. However, we're going to use this. So all that talk we just did is just so you understand, large language modules, we have an option to go on. So I'll move this back in here, move this in here, move this in here. Now, because we're using the chat function, this is all set up ready for the chat function. We also want to use our AI agent some tools. So without setting up anything in here, you can go in here, we can say open chat, and I can say hello. All right, so it's gone through and it will just answer down here. Now let me see if we can zoom in these a little bit. So a little bit bigger, move all this to the side over here. And right, so basics in here, hello, it goes in here. And if I'm say, my name is David, it will go through and it will say, nice to meet you, David. How can I assist you? And I'm going to say, what is my name? And it should say, I don't have access to your personal details, because we didn't give it any memory. It's done one chat by itself, and unlike your normal chat GPT, it doesn't remember everything you say. Therefore, we're going to go out and give it some memory, and N8N has built this in. You have simple memory in here, which is part of your self-hosted server, so it's a very small amount of memory, but it remembers all the chat functions in here. Now, you can connect it up to any of these other storage functionality if you're going to do a lot bigger systems in it, but we're just going to use a simple memory in here. Don't worry about all of this. We'll come through that very soon. We just want to come in here, and I'm going to clear the chat session in here, and I'm going to say, hi, my name is David. And you can see it goes left to right, goes in here, and it's going to talk to our large language module and should talk to our chat as well. So in here, it committed the question and it committed the answer into a memory. So that's 2. Your memory is limited to 5. Just something to think about. You can change that if you need to. Some other functions in here, things we'll show, we'll get to it. But now if I say, what is my name? It says, hi David, because it remembered. Okay, so that's kind of the basics into it, how you build out the chat module. So I'm just going to go take a breathe, pause this up, and then we are going to look into what the rest of the things are in here, what they mean, what the green means, and we're just going to look at changing things up, building it more advanced, and looking at tools, for example, and how to connect this to a website. So we're going to build this out very slow. Just want you to understand as much as we can, but you can see in here there's some input within the bottom in here. So all of that total conversation we just had there, that what is your name was 48 tokens. Okay, something to consider. Okay, so because we used our simple memory, it go through in here, and you can see the things that it does. It goes through your safe context. What is my name? And yeah, just things to consider. Shows you some stuff in here. Don't have to look at it. We're going to use all this. Most of the time, the chat function is very special because they made it easy. Most of the time we have data coming in, we have data manipulation, and we have an output. What this actually does is this actually has this in the back end, back like this. All right, but it doesn't show you that because it's a little bit confusing. But anything normal else, we need the output in here. However, in the back end, it's connected in here. Now I know it's a bit confusing, but all it means is we get information in here, it comes through in here, and we spit it out the other side and send it back to this. Okay, so things to think about. We're going to go through it. It's going to make sense. I'm just going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with the next part. Okay, so I'm back. Let's go have a look at some of the functions and settings within the AI agent here. Now, if I double click on it, I want to see it works very similar to the whole N8N flow where information comes in, information gets edited, and we have an output. Now, it's kind of the same as mapping as in make.com. Whenever we have something down the line of the workflow, so if we have multiple stages of the workflow in here, if we want to map stuff in our next module, it's usually called in here, it will be green like this. So for example, in here, this AI agent is very specifically built for the chat module, but if we come in here, define below, and we click on expression. So there's 2. Fixed means it's going to be fixed and never be changed. Expression just means it's going to be a dynamic variable, and we can map it all out through here like this. Now, part of the naming, so there was a session ID that's wrong, by the way. So I need to be chat input, okay? So the naming might be a little bit confusing, and it might take you a little while to get used to, but this means it's the first module back, and you'll see once we have other modules in here, it will name this something else. All right, we'll get a different name from this. But when it's green and there's data at the start, it means it's mapped out. Okay, so really good for you to see in here, expression here. You can click this part in here, and this will show you what the result would be as well. All right, from our mapped data in here. Now, lots of other things to go in here and map out that you can. But this kind of does the same thing. Connect from trigger node will come in here. So it's part of your trigger node, or if you're manually going to map it, which we're going to use later on, we'll go through in here, we'll do that. All right. So, but for now, We'll keep that on trigger node, and that's just a normal prompt. Now, large language modules, AI agents, they all have a bunch of different places that you can give it messages to. So the prompt is going to be the kind of direct input, and then there's also called things like system messages, which we'll get to soon. But all this means is that I'll move this out in here, from this side in here, we're mapping something into here, and we're going to give an output. Now, very similar, what will happen is anything that you would build in between, we'll need to remap. So if we just delete this for a second, so I'm going to add this in here. I'm going to just say the set. So set is just setting a variable, just for basics in here. If I have this build in the middle here, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to map this. So I'm just going to say JSON format in here. If you want to, we can just go map in here, and I'm just want to map a field called input. So I just want to show you how that works. So if I want to map the field in here, and this is what I'm going to call it. I'm going to give this a new name. Chat agent message test 1 2 3 4. All right, so I'm going to click on expression, and this allows us to map that into there. So now we have a new variable called chat agent message in here. We can hit the execute button in here, and you can see that this new name in here now has that variable. All right, so good thing from N8N is that we can pin data. So we'll have that pin in there, for example. That means it will always stay in here. But now when we connect this up, you will see, because we're here in the front, this part in here, edit fields, now JSON is not there. So therefore we need to come in here, define below, and we're going to say expression, and we're going to have this in here. That is just an example of what we can do. Okay, for example, that just shows we're coming from the JSON chat. The one before will be in there. Now if we want to map this, and none of this has got a real function, I'm just showing you how things would look. You'll say when chat message is received, and that is the name of this, when chat message is received. Now I can, should I be able to rename this? No, I can't rename this one. Whatever you rename on there will be the name down here. Okay, so that's kind of how you do that part. And delete this. Now you'll see it will be unmapped again. Well, when chat message is received, because we mapped it initially. So that's the user prompt. All right, you can have specific outputs. If we want specific outputs, we can add a secondary large language module in here. So if, for example, you have a really big question and prompt in here, we can also have a fallback module. So all it is in here, fallback module, and you'll see that's just a plan B, and we can select, for example, OpenAI chat module, and we can select 5. Or you can, where is it? You can totally select a total different brand if you need to. Okay, so delete that one, and we'll delete that one. Now, system prompt is very important. So these you will learn later on, but the system prompt is always going to be what we tell our assistant to do. So just as an example, you are a helpful assistant. After every message, tell me a short one-line joke. So this is the message will always come in, but who and what is the AI model? What does it need to do? Who is it? What's its functionality? This is where the system message comes in. So you'll see if it's going to be an email writing agent, for example, instead of just saying in the main user prompt that you need to write an email about this, we can always have a set structure and system message that says you write good emails look like this, you receive a first name and a last name. And then all you have to put in the prompt is first name and last name, and it's going to go with its system instructions. So it's kind of like its main core instructions, and this is like the changing variable. So very static down here, and I'll show you what I mean in here. We go in here. Hi, I am David. I'll move this back out the way for a second again. I'll move back a little bit more to the middle. And you'll see, like, hello David, how are you today? Why did the computer show up late? I had a hard drive. Right, okay. And it's quite funny, actually, for a change. So that's the system message. So the system message is going to be very systematic, specific, okay? And in here, so later on when we use tools, this is where we give it instructions, where we'll say, for example, if the user asks to book into the calendar, you're going to use the Gmail tool. If the user asks to send an email, you're going to use the email tool, for an example, okay? We'll get to that soon. Just want to show you memory. Memory is the same thing. Now, memory needs to, for each chat needs a unique ID, and the chat does it for us regardless in it, and it's got from the previous fields. So from our chat module, there's always going to be a session ID, and that's what we store it in. That's just how it works, okay? So later on when we build something out, every new conversation should have a new session ID as such. So that's pretty much the basics of an AI agent. Let's go give it a couple of instructions that we can do. So we'll go give it some tools. So move all these out the way in here, and here. Now, tools. All right, so this is kind of the basics of building out an AI agent. So let's give it a couple of tools. So you got your HTTP tools, which is going to be very customizable, and all. And I'd go through it in the other webhooks module, but all the modules within N8N is really just HTTP and API requests. It's just set up already, so you don't have to go through the configurations of it. But we have a bunch of tools in here that our AI agent can perform. Airtable, updates on Google Sheets, and so on and so forth. So for example, let's just say we wanted to be able to update a row in Google Sheets. So let's go in here, go Google Sheets. I'm going to come through in here. I'm just going to say AI, oops, just give it a name. AI agent test. I'm going to say give it headings, task number, status. Okay, so task number, status. All right, so I'm going to say, for example, I'm going to tell it to log task 2 as complete. All right, so that's the kind of thing that I wanted to do. So something basic. Okay, so in here we're going to look for the Google Sheets module. Now, connecting your Google devices to N8N is a little bit of hard work. It involves you going into the Google Zero Authentication project and creating a ID and a password. Okay, so lots of documentation on it. There's a docs on here. You need to click on it, but you need a client ID and a client secret, and it will turn green, which means you're connected to Google. Now, what makes AI agents so smart is the capability of it knowing to use the tools and by the way we name it. So stick with me, you'll understand it. So this is going to be called our we'll come in here. We'll kind of rename this one up here. My bad. We're going to give it a name. We're going to call this tool that we're creating in here. Notice it's Google Sheets, but we're going to call this task updater. Now, it's a Google Sheet. The tool description is, we're going to set it manually. You can use this, set automatically, and then this requires you to do a lot of manual typing in the system prompt. I need to definitely zoom out here. In the system prompt in here for when and how to use what tool. But I'm also gonna double check and double put things in. The description is to update the Google Sheet with the task number and the task status. This tool requires two things, the task number and a status. All right, so what are we going to do? We are going to do a Google Sheet operation. The operation is to be append a row. The row is going to be, or the sheet is going to be AI agent tester. The sheet within it, so AI agent tester is called this. Our sheet down the bottom is going to be sheet 1. And what we want to do is update these manually. So it's not an update, it's going to be an append. Okay, so stick with me here. I'm not going to, it's just going to be a bit more functionality you need to build in. I don't want to go delve too much in it. I just want to come in here and update each row. We're not building in update, find rows, find task to and update it. That's not what we're doing. It's a logger rather than an updater, which would be a better naming of it. But all you can do in here is click this button and click this button. Now the AI agent will do its own work on updating all these. So this is really as easy as it gets. And what I'm going to say in here, in my system prompt is going to say, you're a helpful assistant. You have access to the following tools. And this is where I call it the same in here, task updater. Tools. Number 1, the task updater. Use this tool to add a new task to a Google Sheet. You will need the task number and a task status. And I'm going to hit this, and then we are going to move this up, move this a little bit this way, and we're going to see if this straight work. Now this is the reset the chat. So remember how I said we have a session ID for our memory? This is how you reset that. All right, and we're going to come back in here, and I really do hope you can zoom in and see all the necessary parts to it. But we're going to say it's down the bottom in here. Move this a little bit in this. I have a new task to update. All right, so it should go through in here, should read through its instructions. It says, "Great, David, please provide me with the task number and status you want to update." So I have just completed task number 99. So it should go in here, connects to a Google Sheet, all done, comes back and it says task number 99 has been set to complete. And there we go. Up in here, task 99 is complete. All right, so that's the basics of adding a tool. Now, obviously lots of tools in it. We can go to Outlook. I really like using Outlook. Very easy to set an emailing assistant up. So the message send to. So I'm going to use this, call this in the top here, send an email, and And here, the tool we're going to use is going to say, use this tool to send an email. You will need the email address, the email subject, and the message you want to send. Now, I'll show you how smart this actually gets. All I'm going to do is this. All right, so the to, so we're sending an email. The to, we're going to use the AI, the subject, the AI, and the body, the AI. All right, so I'm not going to give this any more instructions. All right, so I'm just going to hit the save on there. I'm not giving it any more instructions. That is it. And all I'm going to say is, I want to send an email. And let's see what it figures out. Said sure, because it read the instructions from here now. So without me actually updating that, it will have the details. I need the email address. It's to the subject is hello. The body is body, or the message is let's go. All right, so send that, and that all goes through the Gmail or the Outlook agent to my email address. So let me quickly see if I can bring that up. But what I wanted to show you in there is it's smart enough to figure that out. However, that is not the best practice. The more tools you're going to have, the more specific you want to get. So here it's done. It's come through. Let's go. The more specific you want to get. So we want to say down in here in your system prompt to use that. Now, let me zoom it out a little bit. It's getting a little messy in here. So I want to say in here, number 2, because I've built an Go High Level email assistant, SMS assistant, and a Outlook assistant. So when I say I want to email someone in my CRM, it needs to use Go High Level. When I say I want to email someone from my private email, it needs to use Outlook, for example. So that's always a good habit to start putting things in here like that. So use the Outlook tool to send emails. You will need a subject. You will need a to email subject and a message. All right, so basics in there, all good, all ready to go. Now, this is all very cool, very handy, but where do we get to use this? All right, so how do we connect this up to a website? Now, you really do need to go watch the Webhook modules for it to have a better understanding how webhooks work. However, within N8N, we have this function in here to make the chat publicly available, and we can either have to make the chat publicly available. It's a hosted chat or embedded chat. And I'll quickly show you the differences. So first we need to say save. Then we need to activate this in here. So got it in here. Then just come back in here. We're going to say make the chat available. I'm going to copy this part in here. Now, all these things are self-explanatory. You'll see where we can fill all these in if you want to put authentication in here, if you want to change the messages, add fields, all of that. But once we come in here and put that website in the top, you will get your chat agent like this. So this means you can have this on the outside. So, hey, I want to update a task. Add that I have finished loading task 1, 2, 3. Now all of this will happen in the background in your N8N. The task has been updated, and 1, 2, 3 finish in here. Now This is alright. You can edit some of these things, basics in here, how it looks, and add the fields and change some of it around and make the look and feel a little bit different if you want to. And the documentations for it is up here. You can read over it. Now, another option that we can do is instead of making a hosted chat, we can have it as an embedded chat. So what we need to do is we'll come in here, click that button in there, and we're just going to hit save in here. Now, we will need a website first. So we're going to head over to the lovely new Google AI Studio. And let's go build something out in here. Let's do a little bit of basics of vibe coding. So I'm going to move this in here. Move my head up here. We're going to say build. And we are going to say, I want you to build a AI agency landing page. We sell website chat widgets. Make it amazing. Alright, we're going to give this and we're going to hit the build button in there. And this is going to go through and build some stuff. Now, while this happens, you're going to get yourself a notepad in here. And we are going to have that in there. So have it to the side. We're going to come back in here. You're going to copy this chat URL. And I'm going to paste this in here. Then you're going to come back in here and we're going to scroll down in here, and we are going to look for this part, import the CSS in React in here, and we're looking for this script down here, okay, the CDN embedded page. So we're going to copy all of this, copy that, we're going to come back in here, I'm going to paste that, and in here we're going to use that webhook, that URL in there. Let me just double check that I copied it correctly. Copy that. I'm going to come through in here and I'm just going to replace that one in here. Oops. Alright, and then we'll hold on with this for a second. And I think I messed that up again. See, I missed the little cursors all the time. There's an LD, make sure all of this is correct. Alright, then move this back out the way. Let's see what happens here. I do find this it's pretty good. I made a lot of videos on this, creating your basic website, and let's give it a couple of seconds ago. It's really good because you can add your VO3s, you can add your nano bananas in there. Nano banana? Right, while that loads again, we'll come back in here. I'll just show you. Once a widget is live, you won't see the executions happen in here. This is only for the test function, okay? So what you have to do is you come click on executions in here, and these are all the things that we have executed previously on. So give it a second to load, and you'll see this one is I want to update task 1 to 3, okay? And that's what happened with this one. And it's got a bit of history of all your executions, in short, all right, in here. And that's how you know what's happening in the background in here. So really hoping, sweet. It's not a bad little website. Let's go through, put this one over here. And, oops. What we have here, transform your website into a 24/7 sales machine. That's pretty cool basic website. They're actually quite good. So what we're going to say is, I want you to add an embedded chat widget. And I can just say, this is the code for it. I'm going to copy this, hit this over, and I'm going to paste that in here. While we're busy doing that, I'll open up an N8 Go High Level page somewhere. So let me open this on the side for a second. I'll see, or I don't. No, I did paste it. And it will come through. Just waiting for it. So I'm pretty much telling it what it needs to do. Okay, so it's updating the page. And it should pop it up here. Oh, sweet, there it is on the bottom right in here. Now, where's our little zoom function? Sweet, here it is. But you will see. Here we go, and again, the basics that you chop, change, and edit is within here once we've done it. If you change the public, if you change this, host a chat, and change this again, and then change that back, it will update it, okay? But as you can see, pretty well not styled, okay? So, hi there, my name is Nathan, how can I assist you today? And I want to update task with it's emailed. And that will go there. So kind of the basic tasking here. Now, what you can do is you can rework this entire system and make it look pretty with some custom codes in here. So in here, in the chat in here. And I'll try show you that as well. But if you're, for example, in Go High Level, let me just open a page within here, and we can come through, and I'll come to sites quickly, and any one of these websites. I just need to make sure there's no chat widget enabled. So no, I need to go no chat widget enabled. Save that. Come back to the website. Oops. I'm back. And I'm going to add a new site. Test. And I'll show you where you would add this, and in your website all goes in the header and footer section. So I'm going to say create from blank. And let's get this loaded. Hit that page, hit that, add a text, save that. I'm going to come back. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to copy and send it in here and the tracking part, and usually I paste it in both. I've just always done this. Hit the save button. Now, the preview here does not work because tracking is not enabled when you push this button here. So I don't know if you quite saw what I clicked in the top there. I'll go back in a second. But here we go, chat widget down here. All right. And I'll just show you again. Sorry. Come up here for a second, and it's here, tracking code in here. I've put them in here. You can probably just put them in one. I always put them in two, regardless. Now, how do we make this look prettier? So it's going to get a little bit more advanced. You're going to learn something. Don't stress out. So what we're going to do is come through in here. We're going to deactivate this. And what we need to do is we're going to make use now of what is called a webhook. Now this works very similar within the background, but we want the ability for a system to send us data, and then we want the ability to send the data back. Now for this one, we can probably just head over to ChatGPT for now. Just gonna think, what's the easiest way to do it? Now, usually I would do this in my cursor or my codex, but we'll see how easy it goes in here. And in fact, I made some of these in Lovable as well. It works really well in there. But what we need, we can close this. We'll use this website soon. I'm gonna say remove that chat widget. And I need that one, don't need that one. And I'm gonna say in here, I'm gonna add a webhook. Now a webhook just allows us to receive data. So it opens a connection from the outside to receive data. This is gonna be my testing URL. So I'm just gonna go ahead in here and I'm gonna say it's gonna be post. I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to come back to my notepad and where's my notepad at? I'm just going to save this on my notepad. So on my notepad on the side I've saved that. You should set up authentication. I'm not going to worry about that right now. And what this does is it allows us to get data back. Alright, so just bear with me here for a second. I'm going to come to ChatGPT. And I'm gonna Google say website chatbots, and I'm gonna look at images. And what you can you can use it this way, or you can use there's lots of custom code pages in as well, but it's quite cool in here. And I'm gonna just be careful what functions you build in. So I haven't built in anything to send messages with, but that one's pretty cool. So I'm looking for a nice looking website interface. This one looks alright. Okay, looks alright. So I'm gonna come through in here. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to come through in here, I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to say, I want you to build out a custom website widget that I can add as tracking code to my current website header / footer. The website or the chatbot needs to look like this. Attach. The chatbot needs to send the message to the following webhook. I'm going to paste that part. Oh, no, too much of that. I'm going to come back to that URL that I have. Now remember, later when we update this to the live version, you need to change this, okay? So what I mean is we have this now. Later on when we change it to live, your production URL will be a little bit different, okay? So for now, we're going to use this because we're going to test it, okay? So you'll see. And again, I go through this in the other modules just so you have a bit more understanding in here. So the chatbot needs to send the message to the following webhook as a payload. The payload needs to be, I'm going to say chat message, and you'll see where we get this very soon. Sample message. It then needs to or it also needs to send a unique chat ID. So I'm going to say chat ID so it can have the memory. Remember, we have the memory function in here. The memory function, we need that unique number in here. So I'm going to come back in here, chat ID, like that. All right. So another important part to say is that we need to wait for webhook response. We need to wait for a webhook response in the format JSON, and it's going to be response. Oops. This is a reply. All right. So what this all says is write me the code so our chat looks like this. So it's going to do this for us. Then I need you to send the messages backwards and forwards. And it needs to go to this webhook URL. We need to say that what we're going to send, very similar to our chats, we need that chat message. But I need to have the chat message. It also needs to have the unique chat ID. That we need to wait for the webhook response and the format. So we're going to need to wait for our chat AI agent to reply. I want you to style it like a website chatbot on the bottom right. Click and open it. While waiting for the response, it needs the 3 ... animations. All right, we had that sent in here. So to make this a lot easier, we are gonna use our go high level for it, because a lot of your stuff will come in here anyway. So tracking code in here. Make sure I delete that. Delete that. I'm gonna have to save. Now once we hit the reply through here, that should be gone. All right. So step by step, we're gonna build this out, and you'll see exactly what I mean in here. So give this a second to load and write it up. So it's part of our script. So a little bit longer writing because we're writing the color configuration, okay? So just give this a second. It works with the missing message, and sweet. Here is the code. So we're gonna come back here. I'm gonna hit copy. Copied. I'm gonna come back in here. I am gonna add the tracking code. And I want to add this code in here. Hit the save button. Now save that. That is saving. And oh, look at that. There it is. Pretty accurate. Really accurate. Pretty impressive. All right. We're not done. Obviously, you can tell ChatGPT to change all this, change this, change that, whatever you need to. However, we need to now configure our N8N. And how we do that is we're going to come through in here. And a couple of things are going to fail. You need to follow the following process. We're going to say execute this workflow, and you're going to see we're going to wait for some information to come in. Now we're going to come back in here. Let me move my face out this way for a second. Move this little bit here, and just trying to move that. And let's see when it comes in here. Hello. Nice. Workflow has started. That's all right. That's all good. That's what we needed. We're going to build it all out now. So we've received some data in here. You can look at it down the bottom. We can double click this in here and you can see, move my head again in here. Lots of random information where I am, but we got the chat message and our chat ID. Awesome. Nice. All right. So this is where N8N gets cool. We're going to pin this button in here. Now go very slow in here. We're going to fix our AI agent. We're going to drag this one in here. We're going to double click that. Now, where do we get our message from? I remember I said all this earlier on. And let me move myself completely out of the way this time. I'm going to scroll down. Our chat message goes in here. So, hello, see how it goes green? Got that one working. Now, we need to fix our memory. Our memory is going to come, we're going to define it. We're again going to come from our webhook in here. And we're going to say chat message ID. So it's going to be a unique number to come in here to save it within the database. Now, the next part is the response part. So this will give us an answer. Okay, so we're going to hit this, execute this step, and it will say, hello, how are you doing? All right, that's the output we have, but we need to send the output back. Now, remember we said in here, in the top part, you need to reply with a response. Now, this is how Webhook responses work. So, response, Webhook response. So, remember how I said data comes in, data gets edited, data goes out. So, double click this one. We are going to say response is going to be with the Webhook response node in here. Then in here, we're going to say, we are going to reply. What are we going to reply with? We need to reply with this in here. So we are going to reply in JSON format. And it's going to be response equals expression. Go and drag this. All right. If you don't understand this, it's just a bit of JSON formatting. We can, yeah, that's how it needs to be. I don't think you can add it anywhere else. So let's just go see if this actually works. So we are gonna unpin this. We're gonna just hit the save button in here. We're gonna execute this. I'm gonna come back in here. Move this all along a little bit so you can see better. I'm going to refresh this page. Really good by ChatGPT. Hello. All right, let's see what happens. Blah, blah, blah goes through. Oh, I did not wait. No text found. All right, now this is going to have to go a little bit back and forth, but that's okay. We're sending a JSON response body back. All right, so we're going to come back in here. We're going to come back in here and say the code works well. However, the response is not working that well. We need to wait for the workflow to send a JSON response back. The format will look like this, where the response is the message. Rewrite the code. All right, it should tell us what the error was. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. All right, that doesn't. By the way, that's where we're going to change it. Thanks for that. Where is it? What's it going to change? Hopefully it tells us. You can also change your title here. So all of it's in here. Now I'll leave this somewhere for you to download. I wonder what the change is. Send message, type, string, chat ID, data response. Okay, the table widget now we're in response. All right. It says updated. Can't see where it is, but we're gonna come back to copy. Come back in here. Gonna come back to tracking code. Control A, delete, paste. Did I do both? Yeah. Need to zoom out. Save, save. Reload that. Alright, so come back to this. Come back to execute. Back here. Hello. Done. Nice. But that's it. That is crazy it. So now all you do is we're going to make it into production. So I'm going to hit the double click in here. Now if you actually don't know where to change this, you can ask ChatGPT to change it. However, when we come back to the code in here, come back in here, so your website URL will be this one from here. That will be our production. And what else do we have in here that we can change? Chatbot, alters AI demo. What else? The message, first message was hey, need a booking service. Let's see where we can find that part. Network error. Hello. Hi. This is Altus. Save that and control that. Control V. Save. Save that part. We're gonna come back here. We're gonna save that part. We're gonna enable it. Got it. Gonna come back here. Refresh that. Oh, yeah, definitely messed that up. So this is me missing a quotation mark. Webhook. Alright, messed it up. That's okay. Thank you, ChatGPT. Because it's late at night, not paying attention. And here, copy that. Rewrite the code. This is the website, or this is the webhook. Make the title I wonder what I messed up there. Make the title. I have to rewatch the video chat. Make the title welcome message to hi, this is Altus. Alright, give it a second to write that. We'll work that. So I hope this works. I will leave this website code down the bottom for you so you can use that as well. But that's the basics of it. You can add more tools to it. You can add extra functionality if you want to use a extra agent in between, you can do that. Yeah, tools, add more webhooks, add more AI agents to it as well. Let me see where this other one is I built out. This is an AI agent. This AI agent has 2 AI agents working for it because it's more advanced. All right. So just something to think about. So this is done. Hit the copy button. We are gonna come back to the website. Don't know what I did in here. Missed a comma somewhere. Save. Reload. Wow, it really messed it up quite bad. Unbelievable. Well, that will teach me. Ah, no track. No, that doesn't work either. Don't know what's up there. Close my browser, open it. Make sure what I mean in here, the tracking one, when it says in the URL, tracking is no, it means it doesn't load the tracking code. So, but here we go. Back in here, load it, just had to refresh it. And I want to update task 67 67 with this is the worst word of the year. Does that. Hopefully it does its bits in the background. Oh, now executions, everything falling out. Here we go. It doesn't like the numbering. Knew that was going to happen. So it doesn't like the numbering. So what I'll do is I'll quickly reset that. In fact, actually, I just looked at this and it's because our AI agent replies, something very important in here, with those little quotation marks, and that means that JSON gets a little confused. So what we need to do is, we will come back in here for our JSON responses. We need to add a little tool in here called JSON file string, and it should be like a dot. Let me just go check my notes quickly. Oh no, I'm missing the curly brackets. Missing the curly brackets. It should be like that, curly brackets in here. So that just means it will escape the actual value in here. Okay, so let's, if I control Z this, within the new response, hello suggestions, you'll see it doesn't have the quotation mark. We'll get to this. We'll get to that part. So I'll paste it in there, and it just means once the quotation marks get sent, it will ignore that part. So let's go say again. Try again. Let's see if it goes through this time. No, still doesn't work. So we're going to come back to executions. And it still has an error, and see if it still gives the JSON error in here. So I would have thought that will take away too many in there. Right. So we're going to go back. This time we're going to go back in here. So we got too many of those quotation marks. So we need to delete that one, and we need to delete that one, and then we're going to hit save. Right, and now we're going to try again. Try again. There we go. All right, so now it passes through your quotation marks that's in your string when it replies. The summary of that is to have a JSON body structure, you need to usually put a string within quotation marks in here. However, because our response in here, that was good that I had a problem, so you can see how I problem solved it. And if you just copy and paste this into ChatGPT, it would have told you, but because our response have curly brackets as well, it gets confused with where it should be. But when you add JSON string in here, you can see that it actually takes that out, and here's our proper execution in here. And here, and you can see it comes through properly. So pretty much how it works. And here 6.7, it ended up pushing it through all 3 times. I did the update, it still did the update, it just never applied to us. But that's the basics of building your own N8N chat agent. Now you can hook this up to anything, you can hook it up to anywhere that a webhook comes in. Again, I made a good long video on webhooks as well, so you can understand how webhooks and API request works. This really goes hand in hand, so make sure you go check that out. You are gonna need to put a password in here, and you are probably gonna have to add some stuff that says don't spam this or don't work with this. So you security feature wise, there's a whole different training in this, because things that I shouldn't be able to say is what AI model are you? I'm GPT-4. It shouldn't say that. It shouldn't be able to answer any questions other than what you should be in here. Now you can look up all sorts of security features and prompts to put in your system message. You should limit it because anyone can come to your website and just do this. And that is going to burn through your tokens. All right. As an example, yeah. Obviously, don't build an email functions within a big website. Just things to think about. Really consider security here. This is open. I'm going to definitely go through, turn this off, save that so it's not working and running at the moment. Yeah, lots of things to do when it comes to security that you need to think about. And you can read it all up. There's extra examples for it. You can limit the responses. Lots of cool things. So I'll leave this code in for you somewhere, so at least you have a nice purple looking module, and you can just go to ChatGPT and ask to change the code if you want to. You can copy and paste this code, will go into anywhere in any website if you need it. So oops. Hope that made sense. Hope you follow the basics. Hope you keep building out an N8N. Super, super valuable, especially when you combine it with stuff like go high level, and you can now add calendar tools in here if you want to make custom bookings in calendars. You can add a lot more functionality when it comes to your AI agent that I just deleted. You can add a lot more functionality to it. You can add more tools to it. You can add other AI agents to it. I mean, you can have an AI agent that again has another AI agent that calls on. Right? So you can build super, super powerful functions in all of this that will beat and run around the clock of any high level function. You can send your high level SMSs to this webhook. You can send Facebook messages to this webhook, Instagram messages to this webhook, to do all these things with anything that comes into high level. We can send in as webhook. So super, super powerful. Very long video. Hope you liked it, and yeah, let's keep working hard at N8N and automations.